सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। प्राप्ता सुविद्या च सुशीलता च प्रज्ञा सदाचार शमादि संपत् सन्मार्ग सत्कर्म सुधर्म निष्ठा भृशं मृषा बुद्धि विनष्टिरेव सत्ये प्रवृत्तिर्ह्यसतो निवृत्तिः यस्योपदेशानुसृति प्रभावात् अध्यात्मविद्याम्बर भास्कराय तस्मै नमश्चिन्मय देशिकाय तस्मै नमश्चिन्मय देशिकाय। ओम नमो नारायणाय। ओम नमः शिवाय। Very delighted to see so many young people here. I rarely get such large number of young people anywhere in the world. So thank you for coming. You have already boosted my spirits. So we have a very interesting question as the theme this evening or late afternoon. Are you a fraction or are you an integer? So if any of you think that this Swamiji seems to be going to talk on some mathematics, that is not true. Long ago, once upon a time, I was a student of science and maths, but now I have forgotten most of it. So I am not here to touch on mathematics. However, the question is, are you a fraction or an integer? Yeah. Oh, then can this be placed on some object? Or I can hold it also. Shall I just hold it in? Oh, that's good. It looks like made for this purpose. Wow. Yeah. Better, right? Audible? Much better. Yes, yes. Good, you pointed out right in the beginning. So, are you a fraction or an integer is in the language of maths, but it represents or this implies something in the field of or in the context of psychology. What is psychology? Psychology is the way we behave. Psychology is related to our mind. In our mind, in our behavior, in our transactions with people, when we give, when we take, when we join hands, when we make teams, when we meet, when we part, in a number of things that all of us do in life, all of which has what is called our behavior reflecting in them. Are we an integer or are we a fraction is the question, and without delaying, let me define what it is to be an integer and what it is to be a fraction. Of course, I will take your permission to introduce a little illustration and then I will define. Take a mirror and imagine for some reason the mirror has a crack. The mirror surface is broken. Maybe it fell down, or maybe somebody hit it with a hammer or whatever. You have a mirror, the surface of which is cracked. Then when you sit in front of it, when you face the mirror, you can easily figure out the image. Your own face looks broken there. It won't be one piece. Your image is broken because the mirror has a crack. If the same mirror were to not have a crack, nor have any undulations, nor have any ups and downs, nice, flat, beautiful surface, then we look into the mirror shows exactly how we are. So in one case, the face could be split into two parts. In another case, the face is in one piece. What is split into parts is fraction. What is in one piece may be called integer. We are therefore here to go into this topic of how we could be split or we could be united. Both in mathematics and in philosophy, we thus use the word integer, or more precisely in philosophy, we talk about integration. Integration is bringing together. In contrast, we use the word fragmentation. If a community is fragmented, that means there are groups which fight with each other. A family could be fragmented. In the great story of Mahabharata, which all the youngsters also know here, Pandavas and Kauravas were not from some distant countries. Can we say Pandavas were from New Zealand and Kauravas were from Canada? Pandavas and Kauravas were cousins. Their parents were brothers. So they actually belonged to one family. And yet, what a sad scenario. There was fragmentation. There was such division. Today in the world, after all this progress in science, in technology, after we, humanity, can claim to have conquered nature in a number of ways, alas, we cannot say we, humanity, are one whole. We are, on the contrary, so divided, so fragmented. There are open wars also going on, then there are cold wars, there are hidden wars. We never know where a problem will erupt at any place. Many a time we look around and it scares us. Somebody in North Korea is constantly saying, I'm going to throw a bomb on Japan. I'm going to throw a bomb even at the shore of United States, though it is believed he doesn't have the capacity yet. But that king or that head of North Korea is so weird, he makes unbelievable statements. He is crazy actually. And United States and many other countries are figuring out how to contain him, because he really can do some very, very terrible thing, causing lot of suffering in the world. Now, it's not just in this country or that country, but everywhere there are these hot-headed people. And many a time, behind a hot-headed people, there are a lot of apparently cool-headed people who actually are supporting this hot-headed fellow. They are sometimes cowardly. They want to actually do something weird and they don't have the guts. So they sometimes, provoke or encourage some hot-headed fellow. Now, I wish to say that disorder in the world, disorder outside, is necessarily a reflection of disorder within us. Therefore, in general, the human mind is in turmoil. The human mind, your mind, my mind, his mind, her mind, all this is one human mind. Somewhere the human mind has gone terribly wrong. Even after gaining a lot of education, even after having access to a lot of resources, to power, to comfort, to pleasure and whatnot, even after having at the pressing of a button access to a lot of information. Today I said I am delighted to have so many young people in front of me because a lot of young people say, why should we go to listen Swami Chidananda? We will get all answers from Swami Google Ananda. One Swami Google Ananda has come and put all Swamis in jeopardy. All we Swamis are now scared that nobody will ask us any question. They will find it out. Okay, got it, So, what I mean is, all of us have access to plenty of information in any subject, and yet, can we claim, can any of us, including the speaker, claim that with all this advancement and progress and development, I am so happy. I spend every day with no worry at all. I have no agitation. I have no care or concern. I actually, from the moment I get up till the moment I go to bed, in fact, I hardly walk, I dance in joy. Is there anybody who says that? Every one of us, in fact, experiences almost the opposite. More we have with us all kinds of advantages, privileges, benefits, more seems to be our stress level. We are more stressed. In olden days, when there were no gadgets, we would sleep at 10 or 11 and continuously sleep till 5, 6 or 7. Today, many of us get up and check, is there a WhatsApp message which has come? Today, we go to bathroom and when we come back, we just check, did somebody reply to our email or not yet? So they told me in Bangalore other day, I later found out that it was a bluff. First, for a moment I believed that our name, humanity's name was Homo sapiens till 2016. Now they have changed it to Homo what sapiens. For a moment I believed, oh really? Am I a Homo what sapien? I then found out it was a joke, but it was an interesting joke. And I myself am into this little weakness called checking WhatsApp at all the time. So, the human mind has pretty much the same problems, if not more, as humanity had during the time of Ram and Ravan, during the time of Yudhishthir and Duryodhan. Problems have been the same. The human mind has always found it difficult to find inner stability. There is some kind of imbalance, some kind of lopsided growth, some kind of growth in one area and undergrowth in another area. That is what we are trying to look into when we are this evening going into the topic of integration or fragmentation. Many of you know that, especially in the Indian tradition, I guess in many other traditions too, a spiritually evolved person is referred to as His Holiness or Her Holiness. His Holiness, Her Holiness, be it the Pope of Catholic religion or some Shankaracharya or G.R. Swamiji of Hindu religion, or people of many other religious denominations. They are called Holiness. His Holiness Dalai Lama is visiting Raleigh, they announce. Why do they call him His Holiness? All right, direct meaning is holy. Holy means divine. Holy means closer to God. Holy means so pure and having lot of nobility in him or in her. We have a lady saint going round. I am sure she has come sometime to Raleigh also. She is known as the hugging Amma, Mata Amritanandamayi. I had the blessing of meeting her 3 times, getting hugged by her 3 times on the soil of US only. And we refer to her as one more example, Her Holiness Mata Amritanandamayi. I personally have great regard for her. I have studied lot of Sanskrit, given lots of lectures, written books, but I don't have that peace and love in my heart as that Amma has, who studied only up to 4th grade, who was not born to some specially advantaged family. She was daughter of a fisherman's family by the side of a river in Kerala, and really speaking, she had to work against so many odds, but there she rises from nowhere and becomes a world leader. She has not only given spiritual advice to millions of people or touched the hearts of millions of people by her acts of service, she even in India has launched a university, Amrita University, which has a very good medical college, very good engineering college, and numerous other fields of study. 2 years ago, I had an opportunity to see her university campus in South India, Coimbatore, and I was really impressed with the cleanliness, with the neatness, with the aesthetics. And of course, after my lecture, they took me to the dining hall there. That completely defeated me. Wonderful lunch I got. Such good food. So, Amma, please don't think these people only give some talks maybe and do some miracles. They are actually touching the ground realities. She has built homes for lots, probably 100,000 people who were homeless. She has built homes and then said, come on, occupy, live decently, live in dignity, but work towards your own inner growth. So, let me come back. His Holiness Dalai Lama, the Buddhist leader, Her Holiness Mata Amritanandamayi. Now, why did I raise this business of holiness? This holiness, if you look at it second time, actually is once more what we are talking, being an integer. It is nothing but wholeness. Whole. Integers in mathematics are also called whole numbers. Whole numbers. Integers are whole numbers. 3 by 4, 7 by 8, or with a decimal point 0.58 or 3.43, etc. are fractions. Whole numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 onwards. Integers are called whole numbers. And these saints, these illumined people are holy. Actually, they are a whole because inwardly in their mind there is no division. Either a division of the kind of he is my person, she doesn't belong to me, discrimination. I am for this community and I don't like anyone of that community. That kind of dividing, discriminating people, discriminating with respect to people, based probably on color of skin or on language or some food habit. There are countless ways in which the human mind tends to discriminate. A whole World War II happened in the last century because Hitler discriminated between Jewish people, certain Jewish community, and then the non-Jewish people in Germany. He wanted Jewish people to be expelled. He called it ethnic cleansing. I am going to clean up this whole country's population, let the Jewish people go, some such thing. Perhaps there were many other components, but one of them was like that. So if you do not have that kind of narrow-mindedness, you look at all with eyes of love and objectively you assess them. It's not that all are 100% equal, but one should not discriminate on the basis of eye color or skin color or how much bank balance somebody has. Or in religion also, if I have some kind of nama, they call it nama, right? I put some sandal paste and somebody else has a longer one. And if you say, I think he is more holy, I think she with that longer nama perhaps is more virtuous. Then virtue is not decided by the length of the nama on one's forehead or the color of the clothes one wears or the length of the beard. My master, Swami Chidananda, used to joke those days. He used to speak, he was a great orator. He used to speak to 5,000, 10,000 people in India. And one of the ways he used to hold their attention, in between he would do some special gesture or some stunt, as they call it, some histrionics. I am giving you an example now. I myself joined his movement when I was 23-year-old, and what made me very attracted to him was some of the stunts also, philosophy mainly. He spoke in Chennai very, very, passionately, and we were listening. Okay, then what? But suddenly he stopped on one occasion. Suddenly, he didn't say one more word. We thought he forgot ideas, but he said, don't think that I have forgotten my ideas. I am giving you time to think. We said, oh, okay. And then he continued. And after 5 minutes, again he stopped. This time again we got a doubt. Something must be wrong. He said, don't believe me just because I am a Swami in orange robes with a long beard. We said, oh, now comes the punchline. He said, longer the beard, greater should be your suspicion. He used to, crack some jokes like that, and we would be very happy. Now when I look back, I find that those days, after an hour-long lecture by him, we used to come home thinking we understood. Because there was such great sense of, how nice. Now when I look back, I realize that we had not understood anything. We had enjoyed all the jokes. So we didn't even know whether it was jokes which made us happy, which left us happy at the end of the lecture, or we really figured out what he was talking. Never mind. So on the basis of long beard, you cannot say that man must be very religious. I am making a case for myself because my beard is short. I don't want any of you to go home and say everything was good, but we were not happy and we were not impressed by the length of his beard. It's rather short. I hope next time he comes to Raleigh, he grows it a little longer. Please don't do that. On the basis of the length of the beard, you cannot judge anybody's spiritual progress. So, these saints and sages, these holy women and men are holy. They are a whole. They are not fragmented. They are not divided. Therefore, they are called His Holiness, Her Holiness. For that matter, small children also are regarded very much like God. If I lift a child in one of your homes, let's say a small child, 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and as I lift, if the child kicks me with its foot or slaps me, there are some children very capable of those things. Generally, I am sure all over the world, nobody minds it. Of course, they will take care if it is too sharp, avoid more, But then, nobody would think of taking revenge on that child. Rather, they say, it's okay. Because it is a fact that a child who might slap, who might kick, or who might dirty the clothes of an uncle who came and lifted him or her, would not have done anything deliberately. The child doesn't have any grudge. The child doesn't have some vendetta, some kind of preconceived prejudice. The child simply doesn't know. Child would have hit or kicked out of some impulse. That absence of negative emotion itself is closer to holiness. The child is a whole. Today the child may do to one visitor, tomorrow to another. For the child, all the visitors, all the uncles and aunts are pretty much the same. But when we grow up, even as we get 8-year-old or 12-year-old, and then 18, teenager, and then even older, alas, whether we like it or not, our mind gathers a number of judgments. Our mind gets opinionated. Our mind gets conditioned, influenced, and many a time, in fact most of the times, those conclusions, those opinions, those judgments, alas, are not rooted in truth. Because somebody from a certain community was unkind to you, you are likely to imagine that everybody in that community is going to be bad, which is not so. In any community, Asian or Caucasian, African or Hispanic, in any group, ladies or men, so on and so forth, in any group actually there are good ones, there are bad ones. There are well-meaning people and then there are some who are violent, who are, like I talked about that North Korea's head, or right now there is an organization called ISIS, ISIS. They are really very violent, they are hardcore terrorists, and the world is facing a major challenge in the form of this ISIS growing bigger and bigger. Some of you know it from the newspapers or the media. So, in any community, there are good ones, there are bad ones. We cannot generalize. So, what is becoming an integer when, because of a little information but jumping to a conclusion, we get opinionated. We brand a whole community or we brand a whole gender, we brand a whole professional group as good or bad. That is itself a fragmentation. That is itself a division. Now, scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita give us a lot of understanding of what happens in our mind, in our consciousness, and also they give a lot of practical advice on how we may prevent this kind of inner fragmentation, this kind of inner breaking, splitting, in this kind of getting torn apart within ourselves. To give you a specific example, Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters, as all of you know, I trust. In the second chapter, there is a pair of verses, two verses, 62 and 63. All of you have heard the name of Mahatma Gandhi, M.K. Gandhi. During his young days, when he was in his late 20s or early 30s, he lived in South Africa, and for some years he lived in London too. In those years, he began to study the Bhagavad Gita, and in his autobiography you will find he acknowledges two verses from the Gita had tremendous impact on me, and those two verses are the two to which I am now referring. I myself know these verses for maybe something like 40 years, but even today, these days, when I try to understand myself, what is going wrong or what is going right in me, these two verses hold a mirror. They help. They help me understand my behavior. They help me understand even others' behavior. And I can show to you that they are actually talking about the possible fragmentation ending up as a fraction, and the possible integration ending up as an integer. If any of us becomes a fragment, a fraction, it means we have bias, we have prejudice, we have such inconsistency in ourselves, leave alone hating others, we hate ourselves too. We love sometimes, we hate sometimes. We don't know what is happening. It's a chaotic mind. That is fraction. In integration, even though the world is never easy for anybody, life is for nobody a bed of roses, even though it is so, those who are inwardly integrated take in their stride very many ups and downs. A lot of things may go wrong, some death in the family, some terrible financial loss, some health setback, one's own health or the health of somebody near and dear goes so bad, and you are at a loss to manage it. That's what I call adversity. In the face of grave adversity also, what we are here calling integers, the integrated personality, they are able to take a deep breath and say, yeah, this is hard, but let's see what we can do. They are able to keep their head above their shoulders. They are able to keep relatively calm. Nobody can be totally calm. Even saints and sages have their agitations. But you see, when you and I get agitated, get afraid, get tense, in spite of that fear or agitation or tension, if broadly we are able to stay on the right track, we do not hurt anyone unnecessarily, we do not hurt ourselves unnecessarily, though thoughts come, suicidal thoughts come. I am never tired of saying that there is hardly anybody on the earth who would not have thought of committing suicide a couple of times at least. I have thought of it many times, but then once I wanted to go into a river, the water was too cold, so I gave up. Another time I wanted to lie on a railway track so that a track may, the train may come and run over me and my life goes to an end. I don't have to write next day's examination, So that was, I thought of solving problems like that. I even went and lay down. Of course, this is a little joke, But really the train started coming. When it came very near, I got up and ran away. This is very bad. So we are fickle-minded sometimes. Anyway, that was a joke. I did not really go on the railway tracks. But what I said before is true. Suicidal thoughts have risen in my mind a number of times, because our mind is like that. When we meet with failure, when, leave alone the whole world, 2 or 3 people whose love and regard we expect do not show that love and regard. I may have 200 admirers, but my mind wants some admiration and love from this lady or that man. And this lady or that man from whom I am expecting, suppose, don't show me the regard, then of what use is 200 or even 2000 people saying I am an excellent human being? These 2 people are not saying. Then our heart sinks. So I was saying that nobody has life as a bed of roses. There are lots of challenges, and when everything seems to be going okay, suddenly life throws at you a new challenge. But as I clarified, an integrated person manages it with great amount of care. He goes through that fear or that tension, she goes through that up and down, but ensures that something wrong doesn't happen. Wrong words do not come from her mouth, wrong actions do not take place at her hands. So the Gita verses say, now we come to the crux of the matter, this becoming a fraction or becoming an integer begins, for all this, the starting point is thought. The 2 verses, some of you may have studied a little Gita. Let me recite, whether you understand the Sanskrit or not. It takes 1 minute to chant the 2 shlokas. Dhyayato vishayan pumsah sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho bhijayate क्रोधाद् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. There are several steps indicated here, but the first step is dhyayato vishayan. Vishaya means varieties of sense objects. Lots of objects, we are always surrounded by objects. Some objects make our mouth water. That is why ice cream etc. is not kept here near. The organizers are very intelligent. No sweets, no cakes, no food is kept here. If something of that kind was kept, some faces would have been directed towards those only. Certain things bring water in our mouth, we get attracted. As we grow older, maybe for gold, maybe for silver, maybe for some expensive car, somebody's wonderful house, somebody's dress, someone's special. What are you wearing on your hand? Oh, whatever. So many attractions. Equally, when we say objects, it also refers to numerous objects of the second category which provoke, which annoy, which irritate, which cause negative emotions in us. Objects attract us, one category, other objects disturb us. Somebody who had insulted us some time back comes to a party where we have gone with great excitement, wearing the best dress and putting up the best face, we go there, then we find he is also there. Why have they invited him also? Why has he come here? Sometimes this may happen in a temple also. You have gone to pay respect to God, but here as you enter, you find somebody, man or lady, whom you don't like. And then you cannot concentrate on God. Only thing, you begin a conversation with God. God, why did you have him come? you are angry with God, but if you do so, it's in a way better, Some way or the other you have connected with God, right? That is better. So there are objects, there are people, there are places which get on your nerve. The Gita says, really speaking, the objects on their own do not have the power to disturb you or attract you. This is a spiritual secret. The objects on their own don't have the power. Here is an object, let's say ice cream. Of course, if you put some ice cream on your mouth, on your tongue, it gives a nice sensation. But when you see ice cream at a distance, there are 3 or 4 meters of distance between the ice cream and your tongue. So the sensation has not taken place. Even though there is no sensation taking place, it is your mind which goes down the memory lane. Therefore, a question, scientific question that we may ask at this point is, when I see the ice cream and my mouth waters and I feel like having it immediately, to what percentage is the ice cream itself responsible for that thought process, and to what extent, to what percentage of extent is my memory responsible? I have enjoyed that ice cream sometime before, maybe several times before, so there are memories. Same thing with people. If a person at the very sight of whom irritates me, actually it may be a very small portion of the person himself, but my memories. Another person, I see her and I am so happy, she has come, and I am going to, with my soft drink in my hand, I will make my way to her and talk to her, and so on. That person, man, lady, may be a nice person, but if you are very much drawn to her or him, know for sure a large amount of the factors responsible for it is your memories. Therefore, there was an enlightened master in Mumbai, his name was Nisarga Datta Maharaj. Call him Nisarga. Nisargadi used to say, human life is all the time driven by 2 forces. One is desire, second is fear. That is okay. Either we have desire pulling us towards an object that attracts us, or there is a force called fear which makes us go away from an object or person. One is go towards, another is go away. Now comes an interesting observation. Nisarga Datta says, both desire and fear are a mischief played by memory. He says, desire is the memory of pleasure which you would have experienced on an earlier occasion. That memory rises. It is that memory that makes you want this object, this person. In the case of fear also, it is the memory of pain. See, one is memory of pleasure, other is memory of pain. Last time I went for some work to him, the way he treated me so rudely, he began saying, early morning I have to see your face, what a bad luck it is for me. He talked like that. Suppose, now after a year I meet that person, the memory works. So let me put it once more. Memory of pleasure causes desire. Memory of pain causes fear. So the real factor is not out there with that object or person, it is inside. The Gita throws light on this mechanism. If you understand that really it is not the person or object, it is my mind drawing from the stock of memories, is going into a process, then you will be careful. It is just like you stand before a mirror and you see your face and there is some stain on the face, would you rub or would you try to remove the stain by taking your hand to the mirror? In the example you know very well. If there is a stain, you go and clear it on your own face. That's only an image. Likewise, if you study the spiritual science, Gita, and Christian study Bible, whichever, various religions, different schools of wisdom in the world have their own way of guiding us. When we study, we become more and more aware that for 1 ounce of a factor outside, there are several pounds of factors inside. Therefore, Gita warns us, when you see things that attract you, hold back, watch how your mind is operating. Taking a little from the object over there, the mind adds a lot, matches it. The object is attracting you, let us say 2 units, and the mind provides 18 units. So together it becomes 20 units of attraction. The attraction is not so much because of the outer object, but vast majority of human beings are not aware of this. They think that this object now is so attractive, I cannot live without it. This person is so wonderful, I cannot live without her or him. Whether it is spouse, children, brother, sister, a job, a place, in numerous ways we become so dependent. Now, not to go into all the steps, to give a quick summary of those 2 shlokas, Bhagavad Gita says, if you do not understand what your mind is doing, if you take the outer world itself to be true, then before you realize what is happening, your mind will take you on a trip. Your mind will build tremendous attachment. That attachment leads to wanting to have this and wanting to get rid of that, likes and dislikes. And when things don't go as per your plan, you will be angry. Kamat krodho bijayate. And when that anger burns in you, you will forget whole lot of principles and whole lot of things. Somebody might have helped you a lot on an earlier occasion, but you forget it. Because today he was a bit rude to you, you roll up your sleeves and you forget that he actually had helped you. Or sometimes this person who is getting on my nerve today is my brother, my sister, he is my teacher, she is my mother. You forget everything. When anger rises with great force, forgetting lots of important information, you just act impulsively. In emotional intelligence, they say, those with less emotional intelligence, there is very poor impulse control. When the impulses rise, they just act. And the last part of that, many steps described in the 2 verses says, Buddhi nashat pranashyati. I was glad to see many of you knew those 2 verses by heart, and because many of you know those 2 verses by heart, you have memorized it, it emboldens me to share a joke with you. In our ashram, once I asked a student, please repeat those 2 verses. And the student, brahmachari we call, he got up. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, he started. Then he contracted his eyes, he looked at the roof. What is the next part? Sangasteshu upajayate, good. Sangat sanjayate kama. Again he stopped, was trying to remember. He came up to, Krodat bhavati sammo, sammoha, smriti brahma, smriti brahmshat, buddhi nasho. I said, good, go on. Last part, rather than, after smriti bhramshat buddhi nasha. You know what he said? Tasya prajna pratishtita. Those of you who know the portion know. Tasya prajna pratishtita is, actually the verse says, after anger, memory loss, etc. take over him or her, the person gets destroyed. He ruins his life. But the brahmachari completed it saying, Tasya prajna pratishtita means he has very stable wisdom. When he has fallen a victim to anger and greed, etc., that is called steady wisdom. Sarvanash ho gaya. It's like in another class I asked a girl to chant a famous shloka of 4th chapter. I know all of you know this shloka. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirbhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. Then next one is paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the pious people, vinashaya cha dushkritam, to destroy the evildoers. I come again and again on this earth, sambhavami yuge yuge. And this girl, I said, chant. She didn't even need the book. She said, I can recite it. She got up and said, Paritranaya. Then, I don't know why, she cleared her throat. Sadhunam vinashaya. If you pause at the wrong place and say, Sadhunam vinashaya, which means Lord comes on the earth as though to destroy pious people. Poetry, poetry, you have to recite the pieces with proper pauses. Paritranaya, she stopped. Then sadhunam vinashaya. The whole class laughed. So, please don't think, I am saying this because please don't think spirituality is all boring. A lot of humor in spirituality, Adhyatma Vidya. You study Gita, whether you like it or not, there will be so much humor on the way. All right, if all of you ask me, you are going on and on, but how are we to see that? How are we to ensure that we become integers? I have more or less hinted at it, but to put it in very plain terms, friends, all of us, you, me, everybody, have to put in some effort. We have to put in some effort towards inner development. We put in a lot of effort to earn more, to get some qualification. We work hard attending various courses. Nowadays courses are offered online also. Courses, e-learning has come. And all of us learn so many things so that we have better opportunities. We can improve the standard of living. We can perhaps land a better job. We put in lots of time and energy. We are saying, likewise, try to study yourself. You study how computers work, you study how finance systems work, you study how political systems work. Subjects of the world, subjects that universities normally offer are about things of the world. You study languages, right? You study Spanish or French, you study Hindi or Urdu. So all that is outer. But here you need to study how your body works. Not just gather information. If you figure out that my body will be in very good condition if I do exercise on a regular basis. If my body will be very healthy and my body will be a very good instrument for all that I wish to do in life if I take care of right food, not too spicy, not stale, or not what you call that junk food, not food which pleases the palate but may not have much nutrition. If once in a while it's all right, but if very often I take such food which is tasty but not nutritious. So you figure out, you understand. Follow your understanding, follow your knowledge with implementation without further delay. Begin with the body. Begin with keeping your body truly fit, truly healthy. What needs to be done for that, you have to do. First you should find out what needs to be done, then you have to do. Then comes the mind. For the mind, a little amount of study. You may not like the books that your parents are recommending because you are from another generation. The language or the examples, the style of an author that inspires your parents may not so much. But who is asking you to read the same book as your parents read? It's the same syllabus, but there are different authors. New authors keep coming. So find out such literature. Nowadays websites, nowadays audios, nowadays YouTube videos. But the best news is inside you, inside every youngster here, inside every girl and boy, there is the intelligence to figure out what is healthy material and what is enjoyable but not healthy. What is fun but doesn't lead you very far. Whereas there is audio, there is video, there is reading material, there is food for thought as we call it, which sometimes is enjoyable, sometimes may be slightly boring or unpleasant, but your gut feeling is, this makes sense. This is how I need to handle my anger. Here there are tips given about handling my desire. I lose temper or I get panicky. Different boys and girls have different problems. Some people get so stressed. There are some people who take lot of work and yet are doing very coolly. And if you ask them, how are you doing so much so coolly, so calmly? They say, well, I do one thing at a time. Let there be 100 things. Are you seeing me doing 100 at a time? At a time I do one. Somebody wrote a book of 2000 pages and in the interview they asked, how did you write such a voluminous book? The author said, I tell you my secret. I wrote one page. Next day I wrote another page. Third day I wrote third page. Fourth day there was more free time, I wrote 2 pages. The interviewer said, enough, I understood. There is an old saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So, this is easier to say and say in a talk, but to develop that outlook that sometimes a lot of work may land on my desk, but I will take one thing at a time, I will prioritize them, and if there are certain things which I really cannot do, then I will actually avoid it. I will try to take another subject. There are times where you need to just give things up because everybody cannot do everything. Right? Now this is called inner development. There are lots of people in the world. I will give you a little more tips in 5 minutes, then please ask questions or have some interaction if you like. There are lots of people in this world who are very knowledgeable, who have great skills, but who don't have a balanced approach. They get irritated quickly. They get insecure without much reason. They get panicky or they get depressed. There are people who get depressed. In India we have not Hollywood. What do we have in India? Bollywood. In Bollywood, I am sure younger people also know here, among the lady actors at this time, there is one called Deepika. Can you tell me full name? Deepika Padukone. Last year she actually in an interview said that many people don't know, but I for many years have been getting bouts of depression. Then I cancel my acting assignments. The producer and director may be very agitated. What, you are not coming? Everything will stop here. We are all, everybody is ready. If you don't come, we are going to lose so much of money. I can't help. If I am into depression, my manager just says, Deepika cannot come for a few days. We will let you know when she is ready. She confessed like that. It came in a major newspaper. And everybody across the country, really? When we see her acting in the movies, she is so bubbly, she is so talented, and we think that these people are superhuman. These people seem to have no worries. They have more worries than most of us have. They have more stress. They have more panic. But she is quite an intelligent young lady. But she openly admitted that I go into bouts of depression. So, human mind is very complicated. Earlier we study, the better. The study should not be just bookish. It's like understanding how a machine works, how you learn any operation of gadget so quickly. Chuck, 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 chuck. Oh, I know how to enable this, how to set up this, how to change the password, how to, younger generation knows so many intricacies. Go here, go there, press here. They know everything. If nothing works, just hit it on the right side. I believe there was a computer which stopped working. They called the technician or customer support. So that guy came and checked. Then he said, okay, I know. And he hit it on one side. And it started working. Then he sent a bill for $500. So the owner of the computer said, this is too bad, $500. I was there watching what you were doing. All you did was just hit on the left side. So please give the breakup. $500 for what? Breakup means, for parts, for services, for something. So a breakup came. Why $500? It said, for hitting, it is $1. The person was very, that's correct. For hitting, it should be $1, not more than that. Then, for finding out where to hit, $499. For finding out where to hit, that's where the skill is, So, all of you know, so quickly you figure out how a gadget works, right? And find out how to set things, all those settings, etc. Likewise, if you study, if you pray, if you meditate, if you do some yoga, some pranayama, you don't have to do all these which I am mentioning. Here and there you find out what works for you. Be true to yourself. You know in your heart that prayer helps me become more balanced, for some. You know in your heart some exercise, yoga helps me, some reading helps me. Some among you may say, when I read Ram Raksha Stotra, Hanuman Chalisa, something, it makes me feel good. I love Hanuman. Somebody says, I love Ram. I don't know. It varies. You find out what helps you have a hold, have a handle on your own mind, so that, lastly, unlike before, you don't swing into an angry mood or swing into some kind of depression, some kind of unwillingness to talk to anybody. These things do happen to all of us. But there are ways and means by which we can keep them at bay, keep them away, at least reduce it. I cannot tell you that there are ways in which you will never get depressed. I have not achieved that level. How can I tell you? That may be possible for 1 in a million, but for you and me, with a bit of study and proper practice, we can definitely keep our negativities under check. Start small and grow big. Start with small victories, you will arrive at big victories. Let me pause here. We have some more talks on the same topic for some more evenings, but at this point, I welcome questions, comments, constructive criticism. Please feel free, do not hesitate.